What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dialed In. Today, we have a competitor and also a coach. We're going to dive straight into it. I'll let him introduce himself, and then we'll go into it. I got a couple questions and topics I want to pick his brain about.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? My name's Kohl Blint, Kohl, kind of like the store. I get made fun of for that a little bit, but I'm on TikTok, Instagram. I don't really post on YouTube or anything. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of dive in a little bit, I guess, about my background,
Of course.
how I got into lifting, bodybuilding, competing, coaching. I started training when I was 18 in college, undergrad. I have a master's degree, nothing related to fitness or bodybuilding, surprisingly. I'm a musician is my day job in pair with coaching full time. Just my roster is, coaching's a full time job. So it's kind of active duty military is my day job as a musician, which most people don't know. So I'm in the military.
Did
I
not
play
know that.
Yeah.
Followed you forever, and I've only
Yeah.
seen like he coaches people and he's shredded. That's kind of the only two
Yeah.
things I know about you, But yeah, fill us in. Let us know.
Yeah, I did my undergrad in music. I got a master's degree in music. After that, the Navy was hiring musicians, so it's a great gig, great benefits, get to play music for a living. I've been doing that for 9 years, bounced around the country a little bit. I got into training when I was 18 in college, on and off, not very serious, just would go to the gym for 6 months, fall off for 6 months, have an injury, break a hand. So my first 4 years, like I made very little progress, just yo-yoed, didn't really know much, just your average gym goer, I guess you would call it. When I got to grad school, went through a breakup like everybody, and it was like, I need to get back in shape, go to the gym. And that's when I started diving into taking it more seriously, finding creators to follow on YouTube that were like putting out good information. And I just started to learn about actually tracking food, hitting macronutrients, training philosophies, different splits, different things. So like I started basically taking things pretty consistently and seriously 2014, 2015 timeframe. And I joined the military around that time, and I trained I didn't do my first show prep until 2019 into 2020. So I trained for a good 10 solid years before ever considering competing, kind of mastered myself, mastered my body.
It's a long time.
Yeah,
Most
yeah.
people do 1 year and go straight to the States. So for you to have that much of a base, I'm sure you did quite well, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so I hired a coach, a guy named Patrick McInnes. He's a WNBF men's physique pro. I hired him. I had been following him for a while, kind of heard of him through Jeff Nippard because Jeff Nippard coached him, and then he
Nice.
became a coach, whatever kind of hierarchy of coaching. But
Yeah.
so I hired him like 7 months out from the show. I was confident in being able to diet, but I had never been shredded. So I was like, I need a coach to guide me through a first prep process. So we did I got freaking peeled. I was 5 weeks out, and then 2020, we all know what happened then.
Yes,
So
lockdown.
5 weeks out, shows canceled, everything fell apart. So never got to actually make it to the stage, which was unfortunate. I was more than ready, and so took some time off, tried to prep between that, but the military makes it hard. I can only get approval to do shows 8 weeks out, 12 weeks out. I have to put in a request and be like, hey, I need this time off to do the show, which if it doesn't line up perfectly with the schedule, I just can't do it. So I have to start preps before knowing I can even do shows. And so
Wow.
I started 2 different preps trying to get to the stage, like 2021, 2022, finally 2023, made it happen. I prepped myself up and until like 4 weeks out. And then the coach I was working with posing at the time, I was like, you know what? Like, I still haven't been on stage. I got myself shredded. Just handle the last 4 weeks, making sure I don't do anything stupid. Essentially,
Yep.
is kind of like a little just guidance through the last couple weeks. Did an OCB show in classic physique, and I won my pro card in the OCB on my first attempt. And honestly, that's my competition experience. People think I've competed a lot more. I've only actually done one show. The first show I did, I won my pro card, and since then, like with social media through COVID, building social media and TikTok, I started coaching, and then coaching really took off just with growing social media. And I started slowly taking competitors after I had actually made it to the stage. Just, I'm not going to coach anybody to stage if I haven't done it myself. And still, a lot of people will say maybe one time competing isn't enough experience, but I gained a lot of experience through the previous 10 years of training and
Yes.
kind of doing that. So, and I think this year, today is maybe my 13th client this year. I have another guy coming up in like 7 weeks. So for me, this was a busy year for competition coaching, as I'm mostly a lifestyle coach, but I've been getting more and more prep clients. And Yeah, they've all been coming in really, really good. I've been super happy with how the
I've seen it.
prep coaching. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want to dive into that super quick. So first off, I've had a couple military clients over the years, and I'd have to say, for lack of better words, it's been a shit show. Some of them, like, it's amazing because they could actually get, it depends. Are they in the, Marines, Army, Navy? It depends. I'd say my Navy guys, sometimes it works, but if they're stationed on a boat, they could actually prep and do all that. But my guys that just randomly get sent into the field, it's not going to work out that well. But nonetheless, you guys are dedicated. Those are, besides cops and like firefighters, anything military, you guys are locked in. You guys follow directions incredibly well. So I'm sure that helped you. But back to your original point of you saying like you trained 10 years before getting on stage and then you turn pro. Do you think that that's something that a lot of people are not doing nowadays? I'm sure as a coach, you've had people reach out to you that were overweight and like, hey, I want to go do the show. And you're like, I don't know if I could promise you a win. Like we could do the show, but I don't know if I could promise you a win. Is that something that you see? People are not willing to wait and like build that muscle maturity or experience,
Yeah, I think so. From my experience, all the competitors I've had, I would say 90 to 95% of them, almost all of them were first-time competitors, right? I've had maybe 2 or 3 guys that prior they had done a show or maybe 2 shows. So I've had mostly first-time competitors coming to me. And most of them are usually in that 1 to 5 year mark. I've had a couple guys that have incredible physiques, just like, oh, I want to compete. Like the guy I have today, he's doing men's physique. He looks sick. He's natural, doing an NPC show, non-tested, but he looks freaking awesome. So he's put in a lot of groundwork, a lot of years in the gym prior, but a lot of guys do want to get to the stage. It's especially with social media and it becoming so prevalent, and competing can become a trend or a fad or something. People just think it's like, oh, this easy thing, I'm going to go and jump into a show and compete. And I have 2 stances on it. When I have a consultation call, I say, look, every year you spend in the gym, you're going to be better and you're going to be better and you're going to be better. So yes, if you wait and you build a better foundation, you're going to bring a better package to the stage. But I'm not opposed to prepping somebody if their physique is at a point that they're going to look good on stage, if they really want to do a show. Because my other stance is, you could spend 5 years grinding out to do this show and build this incredible physique and hate the whole experience and then never want to do it again and be like, did I just invest so much time and energy towards this thing that I don't actually want to pursue? So I would almost rather somebody, once they look good enough to like represent themselves well and have a respectable physique on stage, even if it's not what they could be in 3 years, test it out, see if you like it, see if the competition side of it is something that you want to continue to pursue before investing all this time and energy into something you might not actually like doing.
No, I agree with that completely. So my stance has definitely changed over the years. In the very beginning, I started in 2015. Yeah, my 10th year of coaching. It's been a journey. I had my first contest prep competitors around 2016, 2017. And in the beginning, like, this is a terrible mindset to have, guys. Do not do this. I just only wanted winners. I had just got done winning 5 shows in a row, 2 overalls. Like I was killing it. And in my head, I'm like, if they're not my mindset of like, I want it all, I want a pro card, I don't want them on my team. And like, that's a terrible mindset to have because not everybody wants to do it. Some people really want to compete once a year for fun, or like they want to try it and say that, like, tell their wife, kids, generations, like, I did a bodybuilding show, look at me. And in the beginning, I was like resentful to people, like, oh, you're 400 pounds, you want to compete. What does that have to do with me? Like, I don't know if I could do that for you. Now, shout out to my client, Mikel. He's competing next weekend. We lost 103 pounds in 8 weeks.
I saw that.
Sorry, in 8 months.
8 weeks, damn, bro.
No, yeah, sorry, 8 months.
No.
But
he looks crazy. Like not really any loose skin or anything.
Yeah,
like,
none. I don't know why. I've had some lose 30 pounds. They had loose skin. He lost 100 plus, 0 loose skin. We didn't use any magic cream, no magic drugs, no Retta, nothing. Like we use his diet and maybe like some CLA to control his appetite. That's all we used. But pretty much what I'm connecting the pieces. Like in the beginning, I was like, if you're not hardcore, then like I don't want you on the team at first. Don't do that. I regret being like that in the beginning. Now I have a very clear conversation. I was like, I will bring you on stage no matter what. Unless I don't think you're worth the top 5. If I think you're going to get second call outs, I will not do it. That's my only rule. So if you were fat, we got you shredded, and I think you're worth the top 5, 100%, let's run it. But if you are overweight and we do the prep and like there's no chance in hell you're going to be in the top 5, I'd be like, no, I don't think it's worth it. That's my personal rule.
Yeah. I think I'm very much kind of like where you are now. And I think it's totally like everybody's coaching style is going to be different. You can run your business how you want. You can take the clients you want. You can be as selective as you want. I've always just kind of take in, as long as it makes sense, as long as I know I can bring you like for like lifestyle, it's like I'm going to work with almost anybody unless they have some like medical conditions that I'm not comfortable working with, or a situation that is like they're really like it's just not going to jive. We have that conversation and we're not on the same page as far as how it's going to work and how consistent they're going to be able to be. But I'm not super selective with who I will and won't take. I'm almost going to take everybody in terms of a lifestyle client. As far as a prep client, it's having that conversation, like you said, what's your goal? What's realistic? Can we get done? Are we starting early enough? I'm not going to take somebody on who is coming to me too late with too much fat to lose.
Absolutely.
I've done the preps in 12 weeks and dropped 35 pounds, and it's doable. It's rough. It's a lot of cardio. It's a lot of low food. You're going to lose some tissue, especially if you're natural. I prefer 20 plus weeks with guys, like is kind of like what I like to see. And it also depends on where their starting point is.
100%.
But ultimately for me, like I want them to place as high as possible. And I tell them you're going to be as good as we can get you as long as you're following the plan, right? If you follow the plan and do what we can, we're going to get you as good as you possibly can with the time that we have allowed and bring the best physique that's attainable for you, your genetics, the time frame. So I'm not going to like not take somebody because I don't think they're going to place well. If I think that they're going to check their boxes, bring a really good physique, even if it's like, yeah, he needs time to cook, or like, again, I'm not going to put somebody on stage who doesn't belong up there, but
of course,
there's those guys that, like their structure isn't great and like whatever. And maybe they're just not going to play super well, but you still get them dialed in and they still look great and they check their box. And it's like, I'm a servant to the client. I look as like, man, I work for you, but you need to follow the plan. Like ultimately 100%. It's kind of your goal. Like I tell clients, like if we're in the middle of a cut and I wanted to get you down to 155 and we get to 162 and you're good, then like you're good. That's your call. Like if you don't want to cut anymore and you're happy with how you look, then let's reverse out. Let's move directions. Like that goalpost can shift, but if that kind of answers the question,
Yeah, no, absolutely. My last follow-up, and then we'll get to the next topic. So the reason that I'm with you and not with you at the recent thing you said. Now, the only reason why I think that it would make sense, bring them on stage as long as they look good and whatnot. Now, what has happened to me in the past, I usually get about 40 preps a year on average. 30 is my minimum. I think I like 55 in 2023 is ridiculous. But I would bring people on stage, this may be 2022, 2021, and like, to my stand, they just weren't where they needed to be, right? But they told me, hey, I understand that like I'm not going to be in condition to what you want in the next 4 weeks, but I'm willing to do it. It's like, even if you don't get in the top 5, you want to do it. You're going to look good. You're just not going to be your best. And they're like, yes. So what happens? They get 6. They're like, what the hell? You embarrassed me. I wasted all my money. I was like, I told you that you weren't conditioned. Like you weren't going to be your best. So it was that maybe happened 3 times. Well, like they were good. It just, they could have been better. If we would have just grinded 3 more weeks, that could have been the difference between 6th place and 3rd place, or 6th place and 2nd, whatever it may be. So I guess just over time, I'm like, I will 100% bring you up there if I think we're going to be in that top 5, because I don't want them resenting me and being like, he's a shitty coach. He did this. It's like, well, I kind of warned you beforehand. You weren't going to win. So that's my last clap back. That's why I'm like that.
Yeah, and that's understandable. If you've been put in situations like that, I could understand why. And like I've only kicked one prep client off completely, where he just blatantly was just throwing in extra cardio, he was just doing his own thing, and I was like, dude,
that's dangerous.
It was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, and I was like, he looked great. He would have placed better if he would have stuck with me. I was like, hey man, this isn't going to work, right? You're doing your own thing. You're adding in your own cardio. You're not following the plan. You don't trust the process. So this just, we can't continue.
And for anybody watching who's an aspiring coach or a current coach, do not be scared to kick people off. I'm pretty blunt about it. My clients probably going to watch this, and you guys see them get kicked out of the group chat. Typically about 3 to 4 per year. Like that's being generous. It's like whether it's disrespecting you guys in the group chat, disrespecting me, but the one that I have no tolerance for, no matter what the rationale is adding in extra anabolics, doing extra cardio, cutting your food, doing things that could harm you. Like you're not going to randomly die if you do an extra 30 minutes of cardio. But if I had planned to get you in a deficit from food, and then we have this amount of cardio, and you're like, oh, hey, Cody, by the way, I got an extra 15,000 steps and I did 3 hours of cardio, and like you start getting very ill and depleted and faint on the treadmill, that's my fault. I'm going to get blamed, not you. So sometimes you got to just have that trust. If you don't trust your coach, then you better leave and find someone you trust. So sometimes you got to roll with the iron fist, as terrible as it sounds. It's your reputation and their health. So we want you guys to be healthy and alive is my main takeaway.
For sure.
So next topic, completely unrelated entirely, but excuse me. How do you feel about the state of bodybuilding and the fitness industry right now in terms of content, social media? Like, how do you, it could be any type, whether it's the coaching world, competing world, just influencer world. What are your thoughts just as a whole? Anything that stands out to you? Anything you like, dislike, anything at all?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's hard to tell because you know how it can be with the algorithm. And like once you start consuming a certain type of content, sometimes that's all you seem to be getting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So even if it's stuff you don't actually like, but you watch it because it just makes you mad, and then you want to watch it and be like, no, I disagree with that. And then you get pushed that stuff or whatever.
Yes.
So um, I haven't liked this state, at least like, yeah, the past year and a half. I haven't been a huge fan of the direction it has gone with certain creators or what's being kind of pushed and regurgitated as of recent. Like I really personally, like I really liked the fitness space with YouTube and Instagram, like right when YouTube was kind of getting on the scene and everybody was like having their own takes and their own approaches, and like the initial influencers like kind of were coming around like back in the day.
Is this like a 2012 to 2017 type year, or are
Yeah,
you
it's
talking about
like
before, after?
20, it's probably like 2013, 14 through like
Okay.
2020. Like I think that was
Okay.
a really
Right
good
before
span
that.
of a lot of just good open conversation, and everybody's kind of in their niche doing their thing, showing that this works, this works, this works, this works. You know, but about a year and a half, 2 years ago, you know, certain creators went down, you know, the super literature based and science based road. And I consider myself a science-based lifter, but I would never like identify and be like, I'm not gonna like post on my page SBL. You know, like I use and apply the science, right?
Is that
As
a real
every
thing? Do people post that?
yeah, they're like, you know, they're like science-based lifter. It's like I'm never gonna call myself that, but like I use the science and I use the literature and I have an understanding of all of it. But I also make informed decisions from many areas and many avenues, and from my experience, from what I've seen work, from anecdotal evidence, and not just what the most recent study says, which contradicts the other study that was then right, and that which contradicts the other study that was then right. So it becomes this like this rabbit hole of over optimization, especially with everybody just being literature based and not evidence based. And it's just like, what does this one person say, and everything this person says is gospel because they make it sound really flashy and they make it sound really smart. And it's gone down a path where, sorry, I got a fly flying at me. It's gone down a path where it just became so toxic, where you have people in their first 6 months to 3 years of lifting with no experience, no results, no client results, just dogmatically regurgitating literature and telling people with 10 times the amount of experience and results and like that they're wrong, because the recent literature says that 3 times a week frequency and full body every other day is objectively the best split. And it's you know, I could ramble about it, but it's been frustrating seeing that. But I think we're coming out of that. I think that's the past couple, like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, I've seen it like die down. I've seen people start to realize, like, again, it's coming first full circle, again, as it always does, where those die out and then more rational thought processes come back in with more thinking of like practical application and the nuance that's involved. And people like to see things in black and white today versus understanding the nuance that can be involved with bodybuilding and fitness. And I say this all the time because I really believe it. There's never going to be a one way, best way, right way that will apply to every single person.
Yeah, absolutely. And adding on to that, of course. So what I see, and this happens all the year, every year, by the way, typically around the Arnold and typically around the Olympia. So as you know, many people, let's just say Nick Walker, just like really big name guys, they document everything, all their workouts, everything. And they'll be like, oh, I love high volume. I do 12 sets of chest on Mondays and Thursdays. And people are like, oh my God, that's not optimal. You can't do that. And I was like, I get it. It may not be optimal, but like, he's the biggest individual to ever walk this earth. And then they're like, well, he's on steroids. Well, he's on this. Like, okay, well, he still had to build the muscle. There's thousands of people in the gym that are on steroids that will never even win an NPC show, you know? So I guess I see both sides of it. I've been doing this so long. And sometimes I'll see a study and I have my master's degree in kinesiology. So specifically exercise physiology. So like we had to study things. And I remember like talking to the teacher, I'd have to give a presentation and I mostly made it about bodybuilding. We could talk about anything. I made it bodybuilding because I loved it. And everybody was so interested in it because like I'd find studies that are solely bodybuilding based and it would be like 1 out of 5,000. It was impossible to find a study about dieting for 12 to 16 weeks, what it does to your metabolic health, what it does to your thyroid, what it does to this. And then the individual will be like, oh, the average person here was 5'7", 150. That's not a bodybuilder. So it's just kind of hard to explain to people that like they'll research a study, they'll quote a study, but like it's not done on buff individuals, whether they're on steroids or whether someone like you is not on steroids, but you're still super jacked. It's not done on them. So how can you say it's going to apply to every single bodybuilder? So I guess it's just my stance. I don't always agree with the science-based stuff when it doesn't apply to bodybuilders. It applies to moms and dads, but that's pretty much my rant.
Yeah, it's easy to cherry pick literature to fit your bias. You know, you can find things that side with you. You can find things that don't side with you. I don't know why people are so anti-anecdotal evidence or just what we've seen work through the last 60 years of people training, and everything works. Like you can go low volume, you can go high volume once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week frequency. And I think the elephant in the room, or not to jump to genetics, but the reality of bodybuilding is it's genetics is always going to be number one, like in my opinion, you know, and that, you know, it's like you especially like just even looking naturally, if you don't have any like substances to push it a direction, right? If we just look at its base, you will see a dude like take 2 natural individuals and you can see this dude putting in all the work for 10 years, grinding, training super hard, doing everything right. And you see this dude 3 years in who would blow him out of the water. It's just like, you know, genetics is such a huge aspect of it. So when it comes to your training style and people go, well, this guy trains like this and look at him, I could find a guy on the other coin who trains completely different, who looks just as good or better. So it's easy to like be like, well, this person does low volume and upper lower, and I could be like, okay, this person does a bro split in 20 sets a week and look at them. It's like, well, they're just genetically gifted. And I'm like, is that person that you're pointing at not just also genetically gifted? You know, so
that is clippable right there. That was a perfect quote right there. I like it. I like it. Continue.
So it's not to say that, like, obviously we all know hard work and consistency, diet is involved, but like your genetic foundation is going to dictate kind of how far you're going to take it with your shape structure, whether or not, like, you know, I consider myself to be genetically strong in shape and structure. I think I love like how my physique flows. I don't add mass like super fast. Like I'm not like the biggest guy, you know, I'm 6 foot, you know, I think I stepped on stage 178 to 180. So like, I'm not massive by any means. Like I've seen guys with way more tissue than me, but like my physique creates a good illusion. So I think genetically for me, I have good shape, you know, but I don't necessarily like tack on mass super fast.
What was your age again?
I'm 33.
Okay. So early 30s. So yeah, you've been training all through your 20s. Okay. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that's pretty much all I got for that topic then. I want to get into this one. So this is just talking about coaching in general. What do you feel about when people are like, oh, that's a cookie cutter coach, or he's a well-known bodybuilding coach? What do you think separate? I know you do everything by hand, otherwise you wouldn't have amazing results. It's simple as that. But how do you feel about that when like somebody gets famous, like builds this massive following for being like a good coach, even though he sells like $19 programs that are like pre-made on ChatGPT, you know? Like how do you feel about that in general? Good coach versus cookie cutter.
Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of bounce around here to a couple different thoughts. Personally, I don't sell one-off anything. Like you can't buy a training program from me. You can't buy a nutrition anything from me, because if I just tell people like you're getting ripped off if you're buying, like, sure, you can buy a good training split. Like I'm not saying you can't, but you know, it's like you're getting no feedback off of that. You have nobody looking at your training, what it looks like, or adjusting it based on feedback week to week. With food, it's impossible you can't run food off of a template. You know, and if when people come to me asking, I'm like, don't like find a coach that's in your price range versus going and looking for a cookie cutter thing. Anybody who's willing to give you a cookie cutter thing, you're not getting the service you deserve or the best results out of that process. It's easy for people with social media. Again, they blow up. They might not even be that experienced, right? The classic, oh, just because he looks good doesn't mean he knows a lot. I mean, that's 100% true. That's 100% true. And people will care about the money. Well, we obviously want to make money. All of us want to make money, but I'm not going to sacrifice quality for more money ever, right? So it's easy for those guys to just pump out generic things, $20 a month, $50 a month, or these kids sign up and they think they're getting one-on-one stuff and it's really just automated generic, or they have people working for them just doing some BS. You know what I mean? It's terrible. And I have, I offer consultation calls like that are $50, and it's like, okay, ask anything you want. I'll help you as much as I can and give you whatever I can give you. You know, that's about as best I can do for you other than working with me. But I hear the horror stories, people working with other coaches all the time. Like oh, he didn't get back to me for 3 days. I didn't get a check-in for 2 weeks. Like, I am super, super responsive. I'm on time. I never have missed a check-in. I'll never post on my Instagram, hey guys, sorry, late night, get to you tomorrow. Never. I'm never going to do
I
that.
see. The only time I'll allow that is if it was like you were working at the Olympia or something, or just some crazy event. But the other, when people say things like, oh, hey, just I'm hungover, I'll get to you guys tomorrow. Like that's insane.
Like, I had a guy, I'm sure you get the messages like every day. I do. Hey, I would love to help you, make you $50,000 a month, and like everybody pitching you, trying to be your marketer and be your appointment setter and all that. And this guy's like, and I'm like, dude, I can't handle any more than I'm doing. I'm maxed. Like, this is, if I take any more, people's quality is going to suffer. Like, you can't make me more money because I can't do anything more than I'm doing in terms of like how my life and system and business is set up. Right. Like, I am very personable, one-on-one. I do everything by hand, check-ins, programs, I have X amount of clients that I'm working with at a time that I need to be attentive to and be able to respond to timely. And if I was to take any more than that, the quality is going to suffer. And I'm not going to, just to make more money, take 50 more people that I can handle. Like, it's, so.
And your reputation too, man. Not to cut you off, but it's like your reputation too. People sometimes just see the money. They're like, wow, like I finally could quit my day job. I'm making whatever, let's just say 10K a month, right? Which great money, amazing money. Say you're making 10K a month on coaching. And then they're like, oh, well, I wonder what it'd be like to make 20. Okay, I'm going to take an additional 15 clients. Okay, shit, I forgot to text back my other one. Oh, I forgot he has a show in 2 weeks. Oh, I forgot to do this. And it's like the quality starts going downhill. And that 20K goes to 15K, goes to 10K, and now you're in trouble. It's quite hard to get your reputation back once you get burned in the fitness industry. Industry's pretty small. Looks big, and it ain't that big. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say, like, just for example, like I had a guy reach out last night on a application. I shot him a text. He gave me a bunch of information. He was asking a bunch of questions prior to setting up the call. I just like, hey, I just want to make sure you know what you're getting before, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you to waste my time. I don't want to talk to you for 45 minutes for you to be like, oh, I didn't realize it was going to be like that. So let's make sure it's good before we get on a phone call. And, he asked, how do I know that you're going to, and this was over a 20 or 30 minute span, mind you. And he goes, how do I know that you're going to be, like a present coach and available? And I'm like, man, you're not paying me, and I've been sending you voice messages for 30 minutes. Like,
that's what more do you need than that?
Yeah,
I don't even do that.
I was like, I am so invested in every one of my clients that you're not even paying me money, and I'm taking the time to answer all your questions before a phone call to see if you want to be a client of mine. So that should answer your question, how this process is going to go.
Yeah, I respect that entirely. I'm similar to that. I do not charge for interview calls. It's just I cap it off though. If we can't knock it out in 15 minutes and like really get to know each other in that much, I have a specific amount of questions. I know they do. Like, we don't need an hour, And if we need to book another one, we can. I want to make sure they feel like they're not getting ripped off for $1,000, how many months they want to buy of coaching. But at the same time, I've had people that are solely trying to get free information. So this is how I do it. I will not advise you on anything that's not about us working together. So they'll be like, oh, hey, I'm hiring you for a cut. But I was thinking, I want to compete in 3 months, and then what do I need to work on? It's like, well, that's not really relevant to what we're doing. You're getting a free call for that. That's a different topic, But that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, my onboarding call, if like I make it very clear, you're reaching out to coach, yes, or if you want information and you're not interested in coaching, it's a paid call. If it's like, yes, I'm signing up for coaching, that call's free, right? So like that's kind of how I do it. Because again, time is money. You don't want to get your time wasted. And also people will take advantage of that. I've had people sign up for coaching, pay me, and then try to quit after I give them everything and like want a refund. And I'm like, nah.
Oh, no.
I'm like, I just gave you your whole plan, and like now you're gonna quit. I'm like, we can run the rest of the month out, but you're not getting your money back. This
isn't Amazon. Okay. You don't get to I've had people try to do that. My contracts are very in-depth. I have my lawyer double check everything. There are times to give people refunds though. If I just feel that we're not compatible, I don't want to leave a bad taste in the mouth. Anybody I kick off, unless it's like them doing something really bad, I will give them a refund.
I'm the same way. If I cancel it on my end, whatever they're owed, because I go month to month, if they're 17 days in, I'll give them the rest of that, whatever they, back if I cancel on my end. If they cancel on their end, again, it's in my contract. And again, clients, to you guys out there, make sure your coach has a contract so you know what you're getting and what you 100%. Are signing for, because sometimes you get in a situation where it's not in writing and you can get screwed out of money if it's a bad coach or something, crazy stuff happens. So make sure you know what you're getting in writing.
Yes. And just one other thing too, I want to add the credibility aspect, because we both post all our content on social media. It's readily available to see who we coach. There's no hidden. What I've seen, and So where this topic started is this is maybe about 2 weeks ago. I had a guy book a call with me. We were talking. He's like, it's between you and this guy. Now, this other guy, me and him, I don't think I have any enemies in the fitness industry, just him. I just don't like him. He like takes people's video, he takes people's transformations, puts the steroid cycle that they ran on top of it when they're natural. He does for clickbait. And like, I just can't stand him. But he's like, it's between you and him. I was like, I'm offended. I'm offended that you would even put me in the same category as a guy leaking black liquid out of his nipples, saying he's a steroid guru. Please tell me how you put him in the same category. He's like, well, he's buff. It's like, all right, bro, I don't even think we're a good match. And then so he ended up working with that guy. I wasn't rude to him. I was like, I just don't think we're a good match, bro. If you genuinely don't see the difference, I just don't know what I could sell you value-wise. So we went to him, got terrible steroid advice, paid the guy $1,000 a month, terrible steroid advice, left him on red. And then he's like, hey, bro, can I come back? And I was like, if you give me a small apology, I'll let you back. I was being sarcastic. He's like, I'm sorry that I chose him over you. I was like, I'm just kidding, bro. You don't have to apologize. I'm just talking shit. I was like, yeah. And he's still with me now. A couple weeks together, and it worked out great. But the moral of the story is like, guys, look at their resume in terms of they don't have to have a master's. Like, just look at their resume. Do they have 10, 15 different transformations? Cool. They know what they're doing. But if they keep posting their one genetic phenomenon over and over and over and over again, there's no women, there's no men, there's no fat loss to this, bulking, whatever. It's like, you just see the one buff guy. I don't know if that's going to be the best coach for you, but that's my rant for that.
Yeah, definitely. I just had a kid in a comment of mine literally say to me, well, you're wrong about this topic, blah, blah, blah. And you cherry pick your clients to be genetically blessed. I was like, first of all, you don't have any client transformations posted. Second of all, my clients come to me. I don't pick clients. They come to me because they know I'm going to get them results. Third of all, I have 50 to 100 transformations posted on my story highlights on my Instagram. And I constantly post my client results because they're good. So, and a second thing you said with the coaches, right? And I encourage people to shop for a coach, right?
Absolutely.
See who you're going to jive with, see what works financially for you. I had a guy reach out and he was like, I'm between this coach and this coach. And I know my wheelhouse, I know what I'm really good at, but I also know if somebody is the next level above me, I'm not going to like disservice somebody and be like, hey, if you're considering this guy, like, I'm not going to lie, I would also hire this guy. I've considered hiring him myself for a prep because he's very good, very, very good. So reach out to him, talk to him, see what his prices are, my prices are. I guarantee amazing results. But I also, going to be completely transparent, that guy's like, he's here above me a little bit. He has a lot more knowledge, a lot more competitors. He brings in guys dialed every single time. Like, and it's not talking, I'm not trying to talk myself out of a client, but I'm also I have morals and it's like that guy's like the top of the top when it comes to natural bodybuilding coaches. So to be in the conversation with him, I was honored, kind of a thing. But kind of a flip side story of yours.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. I've sent people away as well. So let's just say, for example, like I really prefer in the competitive world, I like coaching men's physique and I like coaching classic. I love both of those. I don't consider myself, and I'm sure I could figure it out, but like, I've never been like, I coach open bodybuilders. That's my shit. I'm the best at, come to me. I'm going to get your IB pro card in open bodybuilding. I've never said that. I don't know if I have the skill set. Yeah, I could try it. I'd love to try it and see, can I do it? But you just have to be open and honest. Like I've had guys reach out to me who wanted me to do their CrossFit training. I don't know anything about CrossFit. They wanted me to turn them into they want to go to nationals in open body. Like I'm talking heavyweight open bodybuilding. I was like, bro, you told me on 37 different drugs. Okay. Like I know a lot about pharmacology. I don't know what you got going on. I don't think I have the right codes. Like go to Chad Nichols, go to Chris Aceto, go to AJ Sims. Like I'll send people out to other people that I believe in, It's the same as what you said. We're not going to take someone on that we can't handle. Wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, like I've never taken a female client, not that I wouldn't, but I like somebody came to me, a female client for competitors. I have female lifestyle clients, but I had a female come to me and she was prepping. She got second at Worlds, like at WMBF Worlds as a natural and like physique or figure. And I was like, look, if you trust me enough to let me handle my first female prep, but like, look, you're going to find people who are more qualified than me working with women competitors. And this is a high level. It's the world stage.
You were this close to like, killing it. That's
so
great.
I think, you're going to be better off going with this guy, honestly, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah, no, I respect the honesty, and I've done the thing. I don't coach women for contest, but I have girls that do photo shoots. I have models, random things like that. I love doing it, but like anything that I know what goes on behind the scenes of coaching women. I know that even natural enhance. I know what happens. They lose their period. They do all this stuff. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to like. I lost my period. I can't have kids because of you. Yeah, I won the show, and now I can't have a family. I refuse. It's just my personal belief. I may change my mind one day. Probably not, but you never know.
Totally.
All right, entirely different topic. And I was wondering this ever since you told me you're natural, but pretty straightforward question. With all the pressures of social media, the pressures of getting an IFBB pro card and just competing at a high level, even people that cheat in the natural league being on steroids, what made you want to stay natural? Like, what was your reasoning? And are you tempted to ever go down that road at some point?
Yeah. So first of all, like you said, like, I just want to touch on this and then I'll dive into that, is like the people who lie. It's hard when you have good morals and you like just aren't, like, I don't know. It's such a scumbag thing to me that people that actually like intentionally take things to lie to beat tests, to beat guys who are natural. Like I can't wrap my head. So sometimes I can be naive to it and be like, guys, there's not that many dudes cheating. Like, these guys are all natural. But then it comes out that some people are, and it's like me being naive to like thinking who's scummy enough to do that. But people do, it's kind of crazy.
Show, bro. I would say it would be false to say that every competitor in every natural show is natural.
Yeah.
Even 10% of them will probably enhance at some point. That's being generous. But sorry, continue.
So I think everybody thinks about like, oh, what would I look like? How crazy would I look? And I'm like, honestly, if maybe my life went a different direction, like, I'm married, I have a kid, I'm in the military, maybe if like something different, because, one little thing can change your trajectory of kind of how your life goes. Maybe I would have gone the other way, I'm not, just because like people think because I'm natural and I preach natural bodybuilding, it's that I'm this holier than thou and you're a bad person if you're on steroids. It's not it. It's just like I want to be an outlet for people who want to stay natural, to show what's attainable through me and through people much better than me. So of course everybody thinks about it, and it's like if I went to the doctor and they were like, your test is shot, you have all these symptoms and side effects of low T, I would 100% go on HRT if it was a quality of life problem, right? So
Definitely.
like right now though, I feel great, I look great. The reason I kind of stayed natural was once I started taking it seriously in 2014, I found a couple really good natural bodybuilders or natural physiques that I thought were crazy. And like I truly believe that they were telling the truth. And I kind of, even, which I know they are natural, but even if like it was somebody who was a fake natty, it doesn't hurt me in any way or affect me in any way to try my hardest and achieve as much as I could naturally, right? So people always go like, oh, these people are giving false expectations. And I'm like, at the end of the day, you're never going to look like anybody else anyway. So you're only going to get out of it what you put into it and what your genetics allow for. And I just saw year after year after year, I was getting better, getting better. And I also know, like, I don't want the negative side effects. I don't want to have to worry about looking worse and better through the year other than my body fat levels changing. Like, I don't want to like look like a freak and then lose a ton of muscle and then be like depressed and go through the mental side of things of like looking like crap and then perpetuating the cycle of having to take the cycles to like battle the mental side of your body image and your personal relationship with fitness and bodybuilding. So I have just been like, it's just going to be better for me long term to stay as healthy as possible, build a physique naturally, be better and better and better every single year. I'm going to look amazing when I'm 40, 45, 50. Like, I'm probably not going to start to go downhill until late 40s or 50s in terms of my physique regressing, in my opinion. You're not
just going to randomly shrink. That's not a thing. So
I really impressive physiques are attainable naturally. And as much as everybody wants to be bigger and the pressures of social media, for that instant gratification, and people don't want to wait, to put that work in, because it takes a long time naturally. If you're not genetically gifted, you're going to have to train 5 to 10 years to have maybe the physique that you wanted to have, but people want it in 2. So for me, it's just like, number one, I'm not only responsible for myself. I have a wife, I have a son. I want to be around as long as possible. Life's already too short. I don't want to shorten it anymore. Pushing the vanity of more muscle. It's just, I'm very content with where I'm at. And I'm glad I put the work in. I did. I wouldn't have thought I would look as good as I do now 10 years ago. Right. So it's just a game of delayed gratification with natural bodybuilding.
Yeah, no, let me add in that to really quick. So I've used steroids before. I'm currently allergic to it. It's a different topic, but I
wanted to ask you about that, but
yeah.
I was wondering.
I'll dive into it at the very end. Actually, no, I'll do it first because it's relevant. So long story short, never had any health issues ever a day in my life. I was opposite of you. So what are your testosterone levels, if you didn't know? Are yours pretty decent?
So I've only done blood work once in my life to get like levels checked. It was 5 weeks out from my pro card win. So I was probably about 7% body fat, and they were 550.
Okay. So it's probably damn near 700 plus when you're bulking or you're normal.
most guys, when they're at that level of body fat, they're in the hundreds, like when they're that lean. So I think my levels sit higher naturally would be my guess if I was 5 weeks out, like pretty peeled and they were 550.
Yeah, you should do a video, man. You should do a video like, here's my testosterone is like a buff natural bodybuilder. You should do that, by the way. But
yeah,
back to my rationale. So I didn't do steroids to be a bodybuilder. Like I just got done my baseball career. I was maybe like 19, 20, getting into college baseball, D2. And I was like, like this just isn't for me. I lost my passion for whatever reason, right? And I got my levels checked, and my levels have been 280 to 330 my whole life, from 16 to like 21. They were just always shot. I was born that way. My free test was cool, and my estrogen was cool, so I never felt like I had low T. I just wasn't building muscle optimally, and I feel like my recovery was not good. That's how I knew I had low T. I was like, you know what? Let me go try these pro hormones. So they're like oral steroids at the time, very popular, 2017, 2015. So it's pretty much steroids in a pill. You take it, your body turned into a steroid, long story short. So I did that. And I was like, man, I feel amazing. Libido went up, well-being went up. I was building muscle so quick to the point that I was like, do I have a future in bodybuilding? I just built muscle in 30 days in this random cycle that I don't even know what the hell I took. Now, when I came off at the PCT and like your testosterone shot goes to 0 before bouncing back, I felt like I was dying. I was like, okay, this is not fun. And like you were saying earlier about the emotional aspect, that is a real thing. Your brain is not happy with you having 3,000 level testosterone. Now back to 20, it's not a good time. So long story short, got into actual TRT when I was maybe like 21, 22, and I was just packing on muscle stupid fast. It was so quick. And I was like, is this what my genetics are supposed to be? Having 900 testosterone? Like that's what they should be at. I eventually ran an actual steroid cycle, got terrible advice from someone, ran test, tren, and D-ball, put on probably 10 pounds of muscle and like 30 pounds on the scale weight, and just blew up. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. I look pretty damn good now. All right, I could compete. And so competed, did numerous shows, won 5 of them. Was getting ready in 2018 to go to nationals. I was like 14 weeks off nationals, pounding heavy gear, as big as I've ever been. And lockdown happens. Lockdown started happening at that point. And I live in San Francisco, so we could not go outside unless we had that shot. We had the card saying like, you got the shot. So I took it, and within maybe 7 days or so, around there, I was like, oh, my allergies seem odd. Like I'm eating something, my nose is a little funky, my body's funky. Like what is going on? And it kept progressing. And I remember, I don't know what I ate, but I ate something like I got anaphylaxis. My throat closed. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? Like what's going on? And then, so it went away. I took Benadryl, went away. And then I did my normal shot of TRT, low dose testosterone. And the same thing happened, but it happened like an hour after. So I was like, was it food? Was it my steroid? What was it? And then I lived like that for a while until I just found clomiphene, thankfully, which works. Amazing. If you ever want to get into that, that would work for you. And there's no shutdown. So brought my levels up to like 800, felt amazing. And then I became allergic to that too. So it just went downhill. So I lived like that for a couple of years. Met an immunologist. I was like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, we've had a vast majority of people that have what is called massive activation syndrome. So we have, on paper, we have no allergies. So nothing. I'm not allergic to nothing on paper, but our body thinks that we are. I could eat it today and I'm good. I could eat it tomorrow. My body built the tolerance to it. Now knows do not have that again. So that's the long story short. Went from competitive bodybuilder to being allergic to steroids. I think there's only 4 of us on paper that are allergic to testosterone on file. It's absolutely insane. One of them died. So 3 of us did. Yeah. So I just remember the long story short.
I remember just seeing you post all about that and explaining it. So I knew that happened, and you had all these like kind of unknown side effects from that. And I know you were trying to get it diagnosed, and you were trying different diet stuff and just, so. Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for diving into that. I was kind of curious.
That's the long story short, kind of, sort of. But either way, so like it just made me have to rely on clomiphene or like HCG, just other options that for some reason my body's like, oh yeah, it's cool. That works. But in steroids doesn't work. Yeah. But either way, I would have to say, you haven't been on steroids yet, but I can see why it's addicting. You're very confident, very cocky, arrogant. You just feel more masculine, is how I would say it. And that's not really my personality either. And it still made me that way. Now, when you take someone who's a hothead or absolutely insane or depressed or whatever they have and you hop on, it could make you crazy. People just don't talk about that. They're just like, oh, I want to be buff. Do you not understand you're putting in a compound in your body that could drastically change the trajectory of your life, your mental state, your relationship, your ability to have children? People just see like, vile, TikTok famous. Let me get on that. And that's just what I see every day, man. It's sad, but I don't make rules. Their life.
Yeah, for sure. I know you
Okay.
were you were going into something and then I derailed you. I
Oh,
didn't
no,
know what
good.
you were.
What's up?
No, I interrupted you by wanting to hear your story. I know you were
Oh,
about to
okay.
like
Sorry.
dive into something.
Oh yeah, no, pretty much. I just asked you why did you say natural? That was kind of the
Oh,
main takeaway.
good.
Just why did you pretty much
Yeah.
touched on it. Yep.
Yep.
That was it. Okay. Now getting into the part two, this is for other people now. So what do you feel about people that are rushing into steroids or debating rushing into steroids to take, I guess you could say, build their dream physique? I know that everybody wants a Young LA sponsorship or a Dark Sport sponsorship, but if everybody's on steroids, it's quite competitive to get any type of sponsorship. So what do you say to people that are, let's say my demographic would be 18 to 21. Let's just say that. I don't want to say teenagers, too young. 18 to 21. What would you say that younger demographic, they're trying to hop on gear to make it in the fitness industry?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is it's not all about the physique. There's a ton of people with amazing physiques that, it's really like, especially in the social media world, like you don't necessarily need to have the best physique in the world to make it on social media or to get a sponsor,
Of course.
right? And I'm not going to go naming people, but there's like a ton of natural guys that just put out really good content. They get a really good following and they get probably some of the biggest deals because they have a large following and they don't have the craziest physique, but people like them as a person. They put out good information, and companies will want to work with you because number one, you're going to make them money. Number two, they're about what you are about. Like they're not going to sign you if they don't like the messages that you're spreading at the same time. So yes, a physique will always help. Sure. And if you're young, the fastest way from point A to point B. And it's like, I say this is, it's a shortcut, and not a shortcut in a negative or derogatory thing, but it's just a faster way, right? It's not like you're cheating. It's just like, steroids will get you there faster, but at what cost? A lot of people don't think long term. Like you don't know where you're going to be in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? You have this plan in your head that probably won't go anything like it's going to go.
100%.
Right. So a lot of kids are so short-sighted and they don't think 2 years, 4 years, 10 years down the road. And they jump to these things that they think are necessary for them to get to where they want to be. And maybe in some regards they could be necessary, but not really. Like it's not something you need to do, right? I think that especially like before jumping on, spend like at least like, man, I don't know, 4 or 5 years building a really good foundation. Wait till you're 22, 23, 24, and see what you can do without. You might get to that age and be like, wow, actually, I'm pretty good with how I look. I train really hard. I can prove to myself I can eat consistent, train consistent. Because if you don't even have the fundamentals down naturally, and you're just jumping right to drugs, PEDs to get you there, and you're not even doing all the things right that you need to be doing under that, like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. But I think that in a lot of cases, people just, again, social media, it makes it, comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. So you need to run your own race. Your only competition should be yourself. But in reality, it's hard just because of how prevalent social media is and the pressure to look better, look the best, be the best. But there's an avenue to it just with having a good personality, putting out good content. Yeah, your physique is a part of it, but and like I try to promote and say is like, you can build a great physique naturally. It's really
100%.
realistic. It's just, yes, it's in most cases, unless you're a genetic freak, it's going to take time. That's just the reality.
Do you coach enhanced people or you only coach natural people?
I've never coached anybody enhanced to the stage. I've had a handful of enhanced clients, but I don't do anything with their enhancements, right?
Gotcha.
I just want to know.
That was going to be my question. How do you feel about people who do that, but they've never run it themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to give information on something that I don't know anything about, right? So I just want to know, like, if somebody comes to me who is enhanced, I'm like, I have no problem. Just because I'm now doesn't mean I can't coach you through the diet and training side of things. But I'm not going to have any. You have to consult with whoever you consult with, your doctor, whatever. I just want to know what it is and when you're changing it, so that if anything is changing with what I'm seeing in the mirror and what I'm seeing with the scale, it's making sense to me for data tracking purposes. And then I'll do a little research on it as well to know as much as I can about it. But like, it's not my wheelhouse, right? So I'm not going to claim to know anything or give somebody advice on something I know nothing about. And there are people out there, I think I know of some that coach on that stuff who have never taken it, which, I guess, I don't know. You would know more or have a better answer about how you feel about that. People who would coach somebody or give somebody PED advice who's never taken PEDs.
Yeah, the only thing I disagree with, and I guess this is, I could have a part two to this. Maybe you could answer that better. But so I'll answer the first part. My clap back of that, my rebuttal to that would be like, how do you feel about people who've never stepped on stage a day in their life, but they still contest prep people? So I'll ask you that in one sec.
Oh, okay.
But to the first part, I don't know how I feel about it, man. I don't know if I feel good about it. It's just the best way I'd word it is like, you don't know what it feels like to have the ups, the downs, when your estrogen's out of whack, when your knees are hurting, when your balls are hurting. Like there's so many little things that unless you've been on that steroid, specifically like contest prep drugs are very harsh in the body. They make you look amazing. They don't make you feel amazing. You know, if you've never taken something like Trembolone, which is the god of all steroids, that can alter your brain, poison your brain, change your sexual preferences. Like there's a lot of things that could happen. It's like, how do you explain that to someone? How can you be like, okay, man, by the way, I know you've never ran trend, but like, imagine you're very attracted to your wife. For the past 10 years, you get on trend, you're like fat shit.
Yeah.
Or a different ethnicity of girl, like a girl that looks like your mom, like just really weird things that like are not your normal functioning that can happen on compound that poison your brain. So how would you have someone on a compound you've never taken would be my final explanation. But I know people that do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think diving into the question, the other question, it's kind of the same thing, like with coaches who coach people to stage who have never been to stage. I think that it's doable. It's possible, right? You know, ultimately, are you bringing a good result, right? Are you, if you've never stepped on stage, but every time you put a guy on stage, he looks incredible. I mean, who are we to say that you can't prep people, right? It's not like this. It's not this gate kept thing, or even like the whole like, oh, you can't call yourself a bodybuilder unless you've stepped on stage. Like people gatekeep that term, and it's like, bro, it's like anyway. So I think you know, ultimately, if you know what you're doing and you've really researched and you're going to learn through experience, through every prep, you're going to learn something. You know, but for 99%, you know, the issue is you've never experienced it. You don't know what it's like to feel that way. You don't know what it's like to have the insatiable hunger or the insomnia or just being freezing all the time or the mental ups and downs of the body dysmorphia. One day you look great. One day you feel like you look like crap. Just like all the trials, tribulations you go through in a contest prep, you've never experienced firsthand. So it's hard to relate. And sometimes you might push somebody too far because you just think they're, you know, being a bitch about it. And you're just like, you know, but if you could relate and be like, okay, I know this is going to help them because I've gone through this and like, I have this strategy, right? So I think that if you're going to work with somebody, it needs to be somebody who has competed in 99% of
even if they did one show. I don't care if they did 20 shows. I don't care if they did one. Right? You know what it feels like to.
I
usually call it like the push phase or something like that. Or just something like the suffering phase. Like, you know, when you're about 4 weeks out, if you're even this much behind, you're going to be grinding for the next 14 days to get you where you need to be. And it's like, how do you explain to someone that they're already flat, they're already depleted, their brain health is gone, their brain fog is insane, but you're not there yet. You need to keep going. You know, you might, as a coach who's never competed before, hypothetically, they might tell you like, hey man, I'm feeling really ill, I want to quit. And you're like, no, I've been here before, I've done before. You need to keep pushing. Okay, like you feel very sick, you're puking, you know, you're about to faint. That's different. But sometimes people want to quit when it gets hard, when it's like, it's supposed to be hard, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's pretty much all I got for that. Let's see here. Oh, I had one question too, and it's not because I'm opening a peptide company. But how do you feel about peptides in general? Whether it's you getting into using them, do you consider those natural versus not natural because they're banned in the natural league? Are they not natural? How do you just feel about them in general?
So yeah, like the honest reality is like, I don't know a ton about them. And like if you were going to side by side, like be like, okay, here's what a peptide does. And here is what an anabolic does. Or, you know, what peptides have anabolic properties versus ones that are used like BPC 157 is just mostly for healing, right? But are there other properties that will make you grow muscle at a faster rate? You know, I don't know much about it to like speak very in depth on it. Of course. I think that obviously there are certain things that are probably banned that are ridiculous to be banned because it's in no way making you look better.
Yeah.
You know, if it's something like that is like whatever it is, and it's like not giving you an advantage on stage in terms of like muscle mass or getting leaner faster, or like, then I don't see how it's unfair. You know, like the BPC, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know a lot of people have been using that for injuries and stuff, but it's not considered natural, even though like, you know, like, you know, Kaysen, what's his Kaysen, he posts
he's a natural competitor, right? Big following.
Yeah, he just went enhanced like couple weeks ago, but he started taking BPC after his last show, natural show, but he knew it was going to make him not natural, but he had such a bad bicep injury for like months that he was like, I don't care. I need to get this taken
it's worth
care of.
it.
Yeah. And he was like happy he did it because he could get back to training normally. So ultimately, like, I don't care what people do. It's their body, their choice. I put out content to like give my opinions and my side of things. And at the end of the day, know your pros and cons. If you can own up to the pros and the cons and be like, I am making this choice knowing my pros and my cons, and I'm not lying to myself about it, and I'm not lying to myself and anybody else about it. Like, don't downplay something that is serious, and don't, just like be real with yourself and be real with your following, and just know your pros and cons of those decisions and make the best choices for you,
Yeah, no, I agree with that entirely. Adding one quick thing, and we'll continue switching topics. So I've been on peptides maybe 3 years. I started learning about maybe like 2022, somewhere around there. And like, I'm not gonna lie, I was very biased. Like, steroids are better. Steroids are better. But now you have no liver toxicity, no crazy just damage to your liver, kidneys, your brain health. Like, peptides just have, I'm not gonna say they're side effect free, because that's not true. You can turn yourself diabetic. You can get random swollen hands, carpal tunnel, just things like that. But it's usually insulin resistance based. But compared to the side effects of like a Trembolone or a Masterone or like these other steroids, like the side effects are just much more minimal. But I still believe it does give you an unfair advantage. Let's say you took it and you already have amazing work ethic. Your diet is perfect. You hop in a compound that's going to burn fat faster. You're going to get shredded easier. Your prep is going to be easier, or maybe something that helps you maintain more muscle in that prep. That is cheating, because now you have unfair advantage, even though it's not going to make you gain 20 pounds of muscle. Even for the BPC, like we were saying, it's amazing for healing. It could give you like superhuman recovery that you wouldn't normally have as a natural. So is that cheating? Even though it's not building more muscle tissue quicker. So there's just a lot of different avenues, but it will put you guys in the hall of shame. So don't think that it won't. If you get caught, you're going to be put on shame.
With just to follow up with that is like, people will ask the question, well, if I'm on X amount of testosterone and my testosterone levels are only 500 or 600 and it's within the natural range, am I not still natural? It's like, well, no, because you're having an unfair advantage to keep your levels healthy, where a natural guy's levels are going to be crashing. Yeah. So even though you're technically in the natural range, you're still having unfair advantage.
And people just have this is just a general statement, but it's like, I have worked with hundreds of enhanced people. I've had people that their body just doesn't respond well to steroids from a testosterone standpoint. Like, they'll be like 800, but they're on like a lot of gear. And it's like, okay, well, I got to 3,500. You got to 850. So regardless of the testosterone, they built more muscle quicker. They were fuller. They were more 3D. They lost no muscle in the cut. So it's like, it's more than just your testosterone, like it does 20 other things. Makes you have more red blood cell count. And I have amazing pump, amazing fullness. So there's a lot of little things that could come with the territory. But either way, let's see here. Last couple questions I'm pretty much caught up with. Let me see here. Yeah, I'll dive into this then. We'll finish up with that. I guess, what is your future goal for yourself? You consider yourself wanting to be a top-level coach, coaching a lot of pro natural guys? Do you yourself want to compete at a pro level and make it to like the Natural Olympia? What do you want to do in the future? It could be the next 3 to 5 years or soon.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and some conversations I've had of recent with some older competitors as well. And for me, like, full transparency, right? It's like, when I got into like bodybuilding and wanting to compete, and like I was like, okay, I want to compete. My like goals, I guess, short term and long term, is number one, to actually get on stage, and the second term goal would be to win a natural pro card, to have pro status. And everybody, it's like everyone wants to chase a pro card, whether it's an IFBB pro card or a natural pro card. And sometimes people put the cart before the horse, and it's like, it's easy to be like, I just want a pro card, and you haven't stepped on stage. I think everybody kind of does that. But that was kind of that. When like I won my pro card in my first try, and like, to me, it felt like that was my Olympia, like that's what I wanted to do. And I'm a realist in the fact that I have a good physique, but at the same time, the next level, on the pro level, is super freaking competitive in the natural federations, man. Like, I don't think I could win a show. And I don't think, with me grinding for 5 years, I'm going to be able to place top 5 on a world stage. So it's like weighing my pros and cons of like, I have a great physique. I'm very happy with how I look. My coaching is doing really good. Like, I don't have this burning, like, I don't see, like, again, pros and cons. That next level that I need to take it to with my own training and consistency and diet to really push in the law of diminishing returns with natural bodybuilding. Like, I'm just not going to be able to push that threshold, like, I just don't, it's just my genetics aren't there for it. Like, and that's just me being a realist. Like, I don't want to put in all that work and have that hyper focus on it just to like, so for me, I want to do, when I compete again, it's just going to be for fun. Like, it's going to be like, I'm still training hard. I'm still eating good, but I'm not living, eating, sleeping, and breathing every aspect of my life around bodybuilding. If it's a Friday night and there's a football game on and I want to drink beers and eat pizza, I'm going to chill out, and then I'll skip the gym and I'll go back to the gym Sunday, and that's just like keeping it real. So I'm not saying I'm never going to compete again. I don't have any I don't have any future immediate plans, like whether that's going to be at 2 years, 5 years. It's just like right now, I'm prioritizing family, work, coaching. I'm still, I just got out of the gym. I'm still training. I still look great. I'm pretty dang lean right now, actually, just for fun. But, I think it's just when I have that itch to do it again and not putting pressure on myself. I don't feel like I owe anybody an explanation, or like, I don't want to like, it's easy for people like, why aren't you competing? You won your pro card. Are you going to compete as a pro? And it's like, it's just like, I'm good right now. Like, I don't have this like fire to need to push that next level. I'm sure I will step on stage again, but I don't have these like grand aspirations to like, push the highest levels. You know what I'm saying? But I've considered, like even, when I do is like looking into other federations, I would actually be interested in just for trying out the NPC side of things and the natural NPC side of things. Switching topics a little bit is just like even like the difference between natural federations and the NPC, for example, just with production value, show quality, like the NPC they have a lot of money, right? There's a lot of money in the NPC.
100%.
So like the shows are bigger, the lighting's better, the production value is better. So it's like, it feels more prestigious.
Like you're getting, and also you're getting your money's worth too as a competitor. Nothing is worse than you go to a show and it's like in some dude's backyard. And like there's like 5 competitors. NPC's not like that.
Some of these natural federations, you'll show up to them and there's 2 guys in your class, or you're the only guy in the class, and it's in this conference room with a sheet put up and there's no lighting, and it's just like, it's like, like that's what turns people off from it, and why a lot of natural guys are just like going NPC, because it's like some of the, and like just honesty is like some of the natural shows, like just the turnouts are bad, the production quality is bad. It's so I can see like that side of things too. And like personally for me, there's some things that I've seen on the unfavorable side of certain organizations that I've had a problem with. And, I don't know if I'm going to continue to compete where I'm at or try some other spots in the future. But yeah, so no like major plans. I'm really getting my gratification through coaching competitors to the stage right now, and really just kind of focusing on coaching. And still, again, I'm training like I always have. It's just like maybe with not that hyper focus of me getting onto the stage.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's a great answer. And then I'll follow up with a couple things here. So as you know, I coach a crap ton of people over the past 10 years, contest prep wise. I'd still say probably 60% of my team's natural. So they do OCB or any of the natural leagues now. I'm not gonna say I dislike the OCB, because that's not what I say. I still love the OCB, but I've had a couple very bad interactions, I guess, with clients doing it. With one recently, actually. So he did the OCB. He looked really good. And the guy who's doing the polygraph was like, I'm going to ask you a question. I just want you to say, like, answer very truthfully. He's like, that's why I'm here, obviously, right? He's like, when it comes to competing, do you feel that winning is more important than having fun? And he's like, yes. He's like, oh, no, that's not the right answer. That's the type of answer someone that would be on steroids would answer. I'm going to have to retest you again. He's like, what? What do you mean? So he called me. He's like, hey, this is my first time competing. Is this like how it's supposed to go? It's like, no. And then this is last year, about this month last year, my really, really big client, African dude, he was competing, and like he's one of the most God-gifted genetic guys. He's natural.
I remember
beyond genetically gifted. And he was doing the like, oh yeah, you're going to get tested many times. None of us believe you're natural. It's like, how discouraging must it be as like your first time in a production, but like the person doing your polygraph's like, are you a cheater? Are you a cheater? Are you a cheater? The other person here, I don't think you're natural. It's like, he's like, this sucks. Like this is like cool. I'm trying to like showcase I'm one of the most gifted guys on earth. And like, they're over here trying to say that like, I didn't work for it. So I've had a couple clients that are like, I'm never doing the OCB again. So again, that's not every experience. Just to clarify, I still send guys to OCB all the time. I do not dislike the OCB, but I definitely think you guys should not falsely accuse people who didn't fail the drug check. Man.
Well, I'm going to expand on that a little bit. And you know, if this bites me in the butt, it bites me in the butt. I
Sure.
tell it how it is, and I shoot it straight. So, the OCB has, at least the official OCB Instagram page has me like restricted. Like I can't tag them or
Really?
anything. And this is coming from an active OCB pro who has put like 10 dudes in their shows this year. I think they didn't like some of the things I had to say about some show turnouts and just calling a spade, and some of the things I've seen with judging, or like just some ways the shows have been run. And it was a lot of, not even me, like I wasn't the only person who had these thoughts and opinions, but I was maybe the only one who spoke up publicly about it. And of course, when you have a big platform, a lot of people see it and they don't necessarily like that. So I think I was kind of put on restriction and kind of blacklisted per se, in a sense. So one of the other reasons why I personally don't know if, even as a pro, and I keep my pro status active, that I'm going to continue to compete OCB. The polygraph thing, my client who competed last weekend, he was like about to step on stage and they were like, you didn't take your polygraph, you can't step on stage, like we don't have a record of you doing it. And he was like, what are you talking about? And this whole thing happened. And then
did he do it?
Yeah, he did it.
Oh, okay. And they didn't log it.
Something weird happened, so that like was a whole thing. With that, I've just seen like judging stuff. I know I've ran some stuff by you and seeing some calls that I'm just like, man, this dude looks like he's 12 weeks out. And it's like, there's a certain point where it's like, you need to value some form of conditioning. Like, come on. Of course.
Yeah.
You know, and like and it's so inconsistent show to show with like what they're rewarding, that it's like, what are we going for here? Like, you know, I've had guys, and I don't understand this either, is I've had this happen to 3 of my guys now where they beat the guy in novice and maybe even debut that wins the open and wins the pro card. Like it happened to my guy
last. It's a little confusing.
It happened to my guy last weekend. It happened to my guy a month ago, and it happened to one of my other clients back in February or March, where like they beat the guy the class before, and then went from at novice, and when it goes to open, the guy who they beat wins the pro card. And I'm like,
so my only rebuttal to that, I've seen this with my own client. I've had that before, by the way. And sometimes I'm just flabbergasted, like, what the hell are you talking about? But there was one, he deserved to lose the open, by the way, before I say this. But he won true novice. He won novice. He got to open. There was a weird like gap in between. I don't know why. There was like a 20-minute gap, and like he just lost all his fullness.
Yeah,
like, it was gone.
Of course,
so he deserved to lose. He's like, man, I beat him twice. I'm like, yeah, bro, but I told you to have some candy and fill back up before you go up. And like you said, you couldn't find your bag in time. You know, like that's on you. But now I have had times that didn't happen. He went out 3 times in a row in 10 minutes, and then he like won open, and then he lost the other 2. And like it just gets confusing. I guess I don't understand it, for a lack of better words. Like you said, I don't get it.
Yeah, I think it would be nice, just kind of like the IFBB is doing with, you know, what was Tyler's like recaps some of the shows. Amazing. And like I think that would be super valuable for the athletes to see like why these calls are being made. Hey, there was some confusion about this. Let's explain it, right? And what we're seeing, what we're looking at, you know. And it's, of course, like it could be something like that. It could be the posing was just really off by the time they got to open, and it's like we couldn't like his back was pinched the whole time. He wasn't even opening up, like, you know, whatever. Yeah. So that happens, right? 100%. It definitely does. But you know, so, you know, majority of my clients have competed at OCB. I've had a WMBF, INBA, NFF, and NPC. So I've covered a handful of different federations, but I would say 75% of them do compete OCB because they have so many shows, you know?
Yes, same here on my team as well.
Yeah.
I've slowly, I'd say, this is a personal reason, by the way. Again, hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt as well, but I've always had a ton of people in OCB or just natural federation in general. But this past year, as in 2025, 2024 was iffy. 2023, I had, I think 8 pros or 9 pros in 2023. Just insane. Just run it. Every show I damn near had a pro, and a lot of them was their first show. And then 2024 came out. I brought that same look, identical, just peeled to the bone, not crazy fullness, but I thought that's what they wanted because I just got 8 pros from it, you know? And then I started having them get to like 3rd. I'm like, no way, bro. No way that guy that has man boobs took 2nd place in the most respectful way, of course.
Yeah.
But I was like, what happened? So he asked the judge, like, you're too shredded. It reminds us of like an enhanced look. It's like, oh, okay, I got to start bringing him in full. So next show, same guy who just took 3rd. I put him in full, and the guy who was shredded won. I was like, what? I don't understand. So there's just time when it just pisses me off so much. I'm like, from a coaching, and you as well, from a coaching standpoint, what look do we bring? Do we bring an NPC? I know got to be shredded. It's standard. Bring them in shredded. That's what they love. But in the OCB, I brought a guy and he got sick and he came in super full and he won. But like in my eyes, and I told him straight up, like, I don't think you deserve to win. Like you didn't look 100%. Like I'm glad you won. He's like, oh, coach, I'm watery, I'm soft. It's like you had the flu 2 days out. Like we can only do so much, and he won.
Yeah,
like he had no lines that were gone. It's like I'm happy, bro, but man, you got lucky on that one.
Yeah, they definitely want a differentiation between the classes, right? You know, they don't want you. That's why they don't allow crossover, because they don't want you to be able to come in and do bodybuilding, men's physique, and classic, because they want a different look, right? You know, that's the thought process. In which I don't necessarily like, especially like classic to bodybuilding. I like the fact that you can have a little bit of a softer look because you don't have to push the extremes of getting 5% body fat and like those extra 6 or 8 weeks it might take. It's more attainable, right? You know, like if I wanted to push into a show, I could do it in 4 weeks right now. Like, you know what I mean? But if I wanted to step on a bodybuilding stage, like those even like getting from 7 or 8% down to like peeled is another. And just another level, you know. So classic, at least with the OCB, and like they want a little bit of a softer look. I don't think is a bad thing, but it's just what they reward inconsistently. Sometimes it's what some people would be told is too lean, but then sometimes they're rewarding freaking shredded. So, and I guess you have to like, what's the whole package, right? You know, what's the whole package?
And your posing and your stage presence plays a role too. But I guess I just haven't, maybe in the pro level, sometimes it's a little confusing, but I guess I just consistently don't feel confused if I have a guy lose in the NPC, if that makes sense. I'm very, very well aware why he or she lost, you know, like I could see it, like, that guy had shredded glutes. You didn't, he won.
For sure.
It's that simple, but I don't know. Just my opinion.
No, I hear you.
All right, we're almost done, by the way. Maybe like 5 more minutes of your time.
We're good.
Okay. I had one more question. It's not written down. I just want to ask you just because we touched on it. So are you married? You have a girlfriend, wife?
Wife, yeah. We've been together since 18, on and off. Well, you know, the dating through college thing. And then, you know, once we were like out of college and all that, we were like, all right, yeah, we're ready to take this serious. And then we got married in 2017. So it's almost been, you know, 8 years of marriage, and we have a son that's 3.5. He's awesome. So yeah, married with a son, 2 dogs.
Two questions. First one, would you let your son be a bodybuilder? And if so, if he ever wanted to use steroids, would you let him go down that road, or would you force him to be a natural bodybuilder, or advise him to be a natural bodybuilder?
Yeah, obviously I can't, you know, once you're 18, you know, you make your own decisions, but at the same time, like, you know, I think that obviously I'm gonna like, you know, show him I did the natural route, and like, you know, who knows, like some crazy stuff could happen in the next 3 years, and I'm like, you know what, I'm pushing, I'm jumping on, I'm gonna go, you know, you never know. Like I'm never gonna say never, but 99.9% chance I'm gonna stay natural. But I never say, you know, you never know. Stuff happens. So, but I'm gonna push him towards the natural side of things, for sure. You know, and I hope that, like, I think it'd be really cool if he got into bodybuilding and lifting, seeing that I've done it for so long. I've seen guys that who like have kids young and like can step on stage with their kid in like a teen division, or when they're 18, and you know, I'll be like 45, 6, 7, like totally doable, right? I think that would be like a cool thing to do, you know. But if he is really about it, right, and he's growing and he looks sick and he's like, I want to push that next level. I have what it takes, and if I agree from my experience that he has what it takes, like, who am I to say, like, don't do it, don't pursue what you want to do? Just know your pros and cons, right? Live the life you want to live, but know what's to come with that. You know what I mean? I think it needs to be realistic. Too many people lie to themselves, and they just don't have it. They're never gonna, like, what are you getting out of it? Like, you're not gonna be able to. It might take you 10 years to win a pro card, and then what? You know,
nothing.
You know,
you're
exactly.
just a pro for life.
Yeah. So was it worth all what you had to do, and like the side effects for? You know, you're not going to take it to the Olympia stage and be one of the most recognized or remembered people. Like, that's how my brain works with it. Like, I'm not going to push that level if I don't think I can be the best. You know, if he wants to be the best and he truly believes he can, you know. And it's a mindset thing too. Like, I just saw like a Nick Walker interview or one of the podcasts he was on. He was like, I was telling myself I was going to win the Olympia when I was 18, you know.
Yeah.
And look, like
He's close. He's very close.
like, so like nobody probably would have believed him back then, but like he made it happen. And regardless of what it's done to his body and his future and stuff like that, like, he's made it to the top 10, top 5 of the Olympia twice. So,
Cool. Yeah, no, it's a good answer. This is my last question relevant to that. So what I was asked about the wife aspect. So I have a lot of men and for a lack of better words, their wives are not supportive. I've had a few call me crying because they have to drop out of the show. They're like, my wife said I'm not showing them any attention. I'm being very self-centered and, putting everything to myself first and not spending any time with the kids, wife, etc. And they're going to dump me. They're going to divorce me if I do the show. And I had one, I was like, she might be bluffing, bro. She might be bluffing. Like, just take her out, treat her as nice as you can with what little ends you have. And he did the show. She divorced him. It's like, oh shit. I'm so sorry. I thought she was joking. But again, he didn't have to do that. Of course, he didn't have to do the show. But I guess just my main question is, but pretty much what I was going to ask you, just long story short is, I mean, you've competed and you've had a wife, I'm assuming the whole time that you did your first show. What would you say to men that are having trouble balancing being a dad and a husband at the same time, and maybe their wife or girlfriend is not as supportive as they should be? What could the husband or boyfriend do to try and make the wife or girlfriend still feel loved in this journey to kind of get that going? I'll give my opinion on it after, but want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, it's tough because it really comes down to that individual. Everybody's situation is different, right? I'm lucky in the sense that my wife has always she's always gone to the gym. She's always done some form of like food tracking, whether it was Weight Watchers or whether it was like, tracking calories, or, I have her, tracking macros, and she does it to keep up on herself, and she goes to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, so she understands, and she doesn't take it seriously like I do, like as far as like bodybuilding, but, she stays active, goes to the gym, tracks food. So that obviously is a super huge, big thing that she understands that and supports that I'm doing that. Now, if you have a situation where your spouse does not lift, isn't into bodybuilding and fitness, doesn't track food, I could imagine how that would be insanely difficult to manage, where you can never eat dinner with the family. You're always on your own thing. You can't ever go out and enjoy things, and you want to go to dinner, but I have to bring my food with me. And like, it can definitely create like a very, it could create a bad dynamic. Ultimately, my opinion is this: bodybuilding is not that important to destroy a marriage. You married the person to spend the rest of your life with and have children with. At the same time, try to find a compromise, explain what you're getting yourself into, what that's going to look like, have a conversation prior to starting a prep so you guys are on the same page. Do not sacrifice everything in your life for bodybuilding and get a divorce over it, unless it was already heading that way anyway, and this just kind of broke the camel's back. But, don't destroy something that's good, in my opinion. Like, but, at the same time, there's a flip side. It's something you really want to do. It's something you're passionate about. Hopefully your spouse would be understanding and support that, right?
Of course.
So you can't change that if that's not the case, but you have to find a middle ground of compromise. Number one, you can't let, as easy as it is, you can't let prep run your life, right? You're making the choice. Nobody's forcing you into this. You're making a choice to suffer. So you have to like put on a good face sometimes. And when you don't have energy or you're in a bad mood, you have to fake it. You can't be an a-hole to people. You can't be an a-hole to people just because you chose to put yourself through the suffering to step on a stage, right? Like, we get it. Everybody who's done it gets it. We've all been there, right? Like, you're in prep. It sucks. Like, deal with it. You made that choice. So you need to still show up. You still need to be there for your kids. You still need to be there for your wife, and you can't let the prep change who you are as a person. And you can still be on point without it just consuming every minute of your life. You can, and it gets easier every time you do it. The first one's the hardest one, but I think every time you get shredded or you prep, you learn to compartmentalize it, and it's just normal. Like, you just still check your boxes and try to not let it affect work and emotions and your relationship. It's always going to have some impact, right? There's a level of hyper focus that's necessary, but you need to have that conversation prior to the prep, and explain it's something you really want to do, and figure out how you're going to compromise that and how that's going to work. It's a lot of training time, meal prep time, cardio time, depending on how much cardio you have to do. And at the end of the day, you can't let it destroy your family. So you need to figure out how that's going to all work. If that means you getting up early before everybody's awake to get it done so that it's not taking away from family time, then you need to do that, right? Like, you need to do what you need to do to it not affect your home life as much as possible.
Yep. No, I agree with all that. And then just adding one quick follow up to it, just because I've seen it. I've seen relationships and marriages go downhill, and I try my best to explain to them kind of what you're saying. I understand that you want to give it your all and you want to be doing good, but I was like, unless we're going to nationals, like we have a IFBB Pro card on the line. I'm not saying I don't want you to try. That's not what I'm saying. But like, I think you're going to regret losing your girlfriend of 5 years or your wife of 10 years if you keep pushing the trend and like giving her attitude, like if you might not be able to get her back, man. And then when you decide to retire from bodybuilding, your wife is gone with somebody else. Like, think about that. And sometimes I have had to have these conversations, and I'd say 70% don't care. They're just like, I want to do this. I'm like, okay, like it's your life, and I'm here to support it. What you do in your personal life is none of my business. I just want to give you a taste of reality of what can happen, what I have seen. I've seen divorces, and they're fighting for their life to win them back, and the wife's like, no. If you're competing, we're not together, and they want to compete. So again, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. You need a healthy balance. And if your partner is incredibly supportive of you, you better treat her incredibly right, because that's not something you're going to find very often. I have a lot of men that their wives resent them, or even like I work with lifestyle women and their husbands resent them. And if you find someone that supports you, you might want to keep them. That's all I want to say.
Definitely.
Right. Last question for you. We are done. If you can go back in time and tell your younger self, any age, one thing, just one tip of advice, one tip of life advice, bodybuilding advice, no topic. It could be any topic at all. What is this one thing you wish you would have known at a very young age in any realm of life?
That is a really good question. And that's a hard one,
That's why I put it last.
At the end of the day, I think that you need to live the life that you want to live. So it's easy to get wrapped up in getting pushed directions in your life that other people want you to have, go into school for something maybe you don't want to do, marrying this girl because it's convenient, and maybe you think down deep she's not the right one, whatever it is, right? Ultimately, like life, like I've said a couple times, life is short. You find different value in different things, like you get married is one step, you have a kid, that's another step, and your perspectives change as to what's important. Like this is going to sound like super I don't know, like super weird, but it's just like happiness and love, like that's, enjoy your life, try to be as happy as you can, and surround yourself by people that love you and that you love. Find the joy in that stuff, and like don't be pushed in a direction that you're not going to be happy with. Like, like obviously you have to make a good living, and you got to support yourself, and you got to make those decisions and make those sacrifices to do so. But sometimes you have to make the hard decision to make yourself ultimately the happiest versus being so worried about other people's opinions of you. Nobody else's opinion of what you do matters at the end of the day, as long as that's the right decision for you. I
like it. Excellent answer. Just finishing up then. Did you have any questions for me? Anything at all before we finish up? I'm a pretty open book, or did you feel like we covered everything?
I think we covered everything. I was just curious. I guess like one main question I had for you,
sure.
You're a very, high level coach, and you coach a lot of competitors, and you bring everybody in incredibly well. You can coach naturals, you coach enhanced. What would you say is your biggest differences in terms of your approaches, like what you can and can't get away with in a prep with a natural guy versus an enhanced guy? Like your thresholds of like, okay, this guy, I can push his fats down to damn near nothing because he's on this stuff, or a natural guy, here's my criteria of like my do's and don'ts with like each of these camps that I know that I can and can't get away with natural versus enhanced, like from somebody who like only coaches natural guys.
I'd love to. That's a good question, by the way. That could be a whole podcast on its own. But long story short, just kind of diving into it. So like you said, I have natural bodybuilders, I have enhanced. Usually when it's a natural bodybuilder, kind of what you were talking about very much early in the beginning, you'd like to have a 16 to 20 week prep. I do feel that way, because sometimes we have to be a little bit more conservative, would be the word. Like we can't just do this super hardcore 8-week cut and then potentially lose any muscle mass, or they end up getting too flat, they end up getting too depleted, their testosterone's shot, their hormones are shot. We go too low in fat, their hormones are for sure shot. So I guess the best way to say is I am sometimes a little easier on my natural guys, because I know they can't recover. I'll bring their volume down. I'll bring their training, not even just the volume of the sets, just like the total training frequency per week. Sometimes I'll only give them 4 days of like, I want you to train Monday, Tuesday. Thursday, Saturday, the other days are cardio only, abs only, stretching only, because they can't handle it. I have some natural guys that I would give them 6 days a week, ran them into the ground. I had to keep refeeding them, giving them any breaks. So I guess from the natural standpoint, you have to watch out pushing them too hard. Even though you want to get them ready, you don't want to lose any muscle tissue. You don't want to hurt their thyroid or their hormones long-term. Short-term, sure. So that's usually, I'm just more conservative. Now, the enhanced guys, to a certain extent, you can do whatever you want to because they have the gear to help them hold muscle. So we could go low fat. We can go really hard carb cycling. They can utilize a lot of protein because their body's so anabolic. I could give a natural guy a change. Let's say I give them a diet change. They don't really get any crazy update from them. Their body maybe doesn't do much. I give that same thing to an enhanced guy that's on clenbuterol, T3, tesofensine, like really strong fat burners. That dude drops 5 pounds that week. Versus the natural guy, we'd be blessed to lose 4 pounds a month. So I guess it's just the changes are just so quick and so sudden that sometimes we overshoot. It's like, oh, whoa, 5 pounds. No, let's bring the food back up. Let's bring the fat burner down. I guess there's just more variables with the enhanced guys, but I could push them absurdly high. I could have their training volume high. I could have their cardio high. I could have their fats low. It's like, I'm not saying they're bulletproof because that's not the right term, but I just feel I could push them harder and they could bounce back and recover. And they're still full 3D, still having a lot of strength. Their libido still good. It's just different, I guess. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. To follow up with the last one, which one do you find is more challenging?
Enhanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of variables.
And in case you're wondering why, so even though that they make changes faster, I now have 20 different variables to watch. They're on testosterone. Cool. Now their estrogen might be too high. Their estrogen might be too low. Now they're on a 19 NOR, a DECA, or a trend. Now their prolactin's up. Okay. Now they got stuff leaking out of their nipples. Oh, their libido is gone. Their well-being is gone. Oh, they're on clenbuterol. Now their blood pressure's high. They have high resting heart rate. They cannot sleep because they're having anxiety, panic attacks. They can't have caffeine because now they're on clen. I have to now worry about them doing the NPC where they're going to be going against other enhanced people that are going to be on the money. And if we mess something up, there's that. Without getting too deep into it, it is thermodynamics. It is the calories in versus calories out. But there's been times that my clients' liver enzymes get higher and higher and higher, and they're losing no fat. Their body is just not detoxifying the way it is, and like losing fat is impossible. I will give them a deficit. I will give them cardio, give them fat burners. Doesn't work. I start throwing in TUDCA and other liver healing substances. Magically, the fat loss starts going in again. So like, there's just so many little things that sometimes the book isn't going to teach you it. You know, like I'm about to hit 1,800 transformations. That's
wow,
a shit ton. 1,800 in 10 years. Yeah, I go through a lot, and about 130 of them are prep. So I've just seen so many things that like I try to tell. I don't argue with the science-based people anymore because it's like, bro, I know what I see. When have I ever brought someone on stage fat? I usually get it done, you know? So that's pretty much what it is. That's natural guys. They can work their ass off, and sometimes they just don't get the results for how hard they're working. Versus sometimes I have an enhanced guy that cheated on his diet twice a week, did this, and like he still looked amazing. So there's just a little bit of leeway sometimes, I'd say. Yeah.
Totally. Well, I appreciate you having me on here, and it was really good getting to actually have a conversation face to face, and you know, after consuming your content for a couple of years, and no, this was fun. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, finishing up, where can people find you? What is your social media ads? Do you have any sponsorships? What is the discounts for that? Just kind of finish up your last things about you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, you can find me Instagram, Kohl Blint, Kohl.Blint, KOHLBLINT, Natural Pro. And TikTok, search Kohl Blint. My name is pretty unique. You'll find me if you search Kohl Blint, you know, spelling it correctly. I'm not affiliated with anybody. You know, I don't have any supplement discount codes, nothing like that. So unfortunately, I can't save you any money there, but I can, you know, as Cody, get you in incredible shape, you know. So hit me up if you ever need anything, have any questions, just even fitness advice, life advice. I'm pretty good about getting back to people, even if it's just general questions, or, you know, come over to the page, see my perspective, my take on things, and yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm happy to have you first off. Maybe in the future, we'll see. I want to have what is called maybe like a coaching corner where I'll have like me and another guy who does like enhanced coaching, maybe you and another guy who's natural. We can just, you know, shoot the shit, talk about what it's like being natural versus enhanced. It'd be a cool topic in the future if you'd be down.
For sure, man. Yeah, just hit me up again if you ever want to have me on for any topics or whatever. I'd be more than happy to do this. This was my first time doing one of these, and it was nice. It was a lot of fun.
Cool. Sounds great, man. Well, thank you everybody for watching to the end. If you don't follow me, shoot me a follow as well. Cody Dow on all platforms, and I will have an episode pretty much every week. So stay tuned. Many more people coming from bodybuilders to influencers to anything at all. So Team Dial to the moon.